Are you stuck in the Stone Age, fumbling through papers and binders? Well, here's my top 5 D&D apps for both players and DMs. Coming up. Welcome to the Dungeon Coach. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm gonna help you lower that DC in your Dungeons and Dragons game and increase the efficiency with these apps. I just did a video about how to play D&D online using Roll20 and Discord, link right here for that, but I wanna keep these tech tips coming. All of these make my life so much easier and are super efficient, which is what we're all about in this channel. All of these apps are available on iOS, but only the first and fifth are available on Android. I wanted to find the best replacements for those, but with all this social distancing stuff, I don't have access to any Android devices. But that's fine, because iPhones are better anyway. I'm sorry. I just love getting those Android people all riled up. But for real, if you are an Android user, please leave a comment down below letting me know what your favorite app is, and I can check it out in a later video. And for my fellow iPhone users, let me know if I missed your favorite. A lot of times you're on the go and you don't have your handy manuals right next to you. So when I'm out and about and have some D&D thoughts, which happens all the time, these are great. Here we go. Number 1 here is probably the one I use the most. D&D Spells 5e. Right when you open it up, you have access to every single spell in the game. Click on something like Thaumaturgy, every single thing about Thaumaturgy, because who can ever remember everything Thaumaturgy does? And that plus button in the top right corner lets you add that spell to the spell list of any character you have. Going back now, you could scroll through every single spell list here in the game, but my favorite feature is at the top right corner, you have filters. This is what makes this app so amazing. You can sort by class, every single class and what their spell list is, even subclasses. The filters I use the most for sure are spell level to try and find that right level spell I'm looking for, and the spell's school of magic. You can also search by components. Action means what kind of action resource it takes to use. You can also sort if it's concentration or not, rituals, and what book it comes from. So let's say you're a sorcerer and you just got to the 5th level, unlocking those 3rd level spell slots. You go to class, select sorcerer, you go to spells level, and you select 3rd level spells. Search. This is all the spells that I have access to choose from now. And yes, of course, there's Fireball. This is where a really cool feature of the app comes in, because you can add spells to your character's spell list in the app. So let's back out here for a second. And at the very bottom middle, you see those little 2 people right there. Tap that. These are all the characters that I've put into this app. Disclaimer here, this app is free to use, but it only lets you have 1 character slot. The paid version is only $1 or $2, and you can create as many characters as you want. So in this top left corner, I'm gonna press the plus, and we're gonna create a new character. We're gonna name it Dungeon Coach. Race is gonna be Dragonborn. I'm gonna be a ranger because I just did a video over the Homebrew Ranger, link right here. I'll pick Horizon Walker and give myself a cool color. Add. Select your character and this will be where all your spells are. So let's add some spells. If I go back to that spell list over here with the little search icon in the bottom left, I have access to all those spells once again. But now my filters, class is now a ranger, level spells, I want them all, search. Now when I go through, I can select my spell. So there's that Cure Wounds, I'm gonna add Cure Wounds. I press the plus in the top right-hand corner here, and I can add it to the Dungeon Coach. Now that spell is on my list. Just for the sake of this example, let's add some more here. Of course, I gotta get myself Jump, because that's just the best. Going down further here, I'm not gonna pick Hunter's Mark, because I'm using that Homebrew Ranger. Let's grab Healing Spirit, because it's broken. So now when I go to my character, Dungeon Coach, there's all my spells. Now if you notice, it says Known. Next to Known says Prepared. When I go to Prepared, there's nothing there. So if I go back to Known, I can select these things here, and when I go back, that's my prepared spells. This last thing is super efficient, and right next to it says class. That is all the spells you have access to in your class. I'll select Conjure Barrage, add it to myself. Go back to Known, there it is. The thing I love to do on this app as a dungeon master is I go back to search. I use this to brainstorm as a DM and sort out all the spells that I want to outfit my bad guys with. I have a video right here where I talk about spicing up your monsters, and this is a great way to do it. And I'm not just talking about those enemy spellcasters. I've been doing some live streams recently where I've been creating a 2-shot in the Feywild. I homebrewed this mushroom beast that if you were around it, you started to hallucinate. So back to this app, I'm gonna go to School and select Illusion. And I'm gonna go to Level. The party was level 3, so I don't need 9th level illusion spells. I'm gonna select 0, 1, 2, and 3. And why not 4? Search. I had the concept of this creature in mind, but now I can use this list for inspiration. Maybe that Spore Cloud has some effects of color spray. But going down this list, I ended up using some Phantasmal Force mechanics. And I went all the way down to that 4th level spell and saw Hallucinatory Terrain, and thought that would be pretty cool too. So now this creature is able to get into your mind and make you see things and change the land around you. That first app is huge, so let's get into the second one. Encounters. This app is great for getting a reference point to balance encounters with or hand out experience. And right there are 2 video ideas I want to do of how I fix the CR system and if you should do experience leveling or milestone. Of the 2 groups I have right now, one's using milestone and one's using experience. And this app is huge for that. Let's set up my party. I have 5 players in this party. 4 of them are level 5 and 1 of them is level 4. Why is that 1 player behind? That's a topic for another video. Once you're done, tap the bottom. There is every experience threshold for easy, medium, hard, and deadly encounters. Now, like I said, I know the CR system is not the best, but at the end of the day, it is a reference point that can be useful. Whether it's broken or not, there's a lot of math behind it that you can use to your advantage. As they level up and get more magic items, they'll start to get further away from what these numbers would say. This app says that a deadly encounter would be 4,900, but I know my party could handle over 5,000. Over 5,000! Now, there's 2 things you can do with this. Creature count per CR is a chart showing how many of what CR you could throw at your players. Let's use a CR2 monster for example. If all I wanted to throw at my party were CR2 monsters, 2 of them would be an easy encounter, 3 of them would be medium, 5 would be hard, and 6 or more would make it deadly. What is nice to see though is what CR could I have only 1 of for it to be a deadly encounter? Scrolling down, it looks like only having 1 CR9 would be deadly. So let's go back now. Find custom encounter difficulty. This right here is the best part. You can add as many different CR creatures in here as you want, and you can see the challenge rating change at the bottom. I'm gonna throw in 2 of those level 2s. Still easy, just like we saw in that chart. I'm gonna throw in a CR4. Ooh, it gets hard now. But what if I throw in a CR7? Now it's over 9,000. It's over 9,000! Whoa, take that off. So if I'm looking for 5,000, I'm gonna scroll back down here, and if I add a 1/4, it's still fine. Take that off. If I add a half, still fine. Add another 1, another 1, and another 1. There we go. So now this encounter has 3 CR1s, 2 CR2s, and 1 CR4. If you stick to that CR system exactly, then this is perfect for you. For myself, I don't really use it, but this app gives me a scaling reference point to use. And all the other things I do with this app, I'll save for that level up experience video. So app number 2 was Encounters. App number 3 is EncounterPlus. Now, if I remember correctly, this app does cost a few bucks. I've used it for so long, I forget. This app right here is far more powerful than what I actually use it for. It has a full-blown combat grid, you can track initiatives, create your own monsters, and more. It even has a paid version where you could entirely play D&D online with it. You could run everything through Discord and just share your screen of this app and you'd be good. But I'm not as familiar with all that, so I'm gonna show you how I use this thing. Right off the bat, this is some of that initiative tracking stuff that I don't use, but these are my 4 players from my last campaign that just ended. For a quick tour, top left you got your settings. Right next to that with those arrows actually takes you to that battle map that I told you about, but we're not gonna do that. The little TV next to that is where you can actually send this out and display this on another screen. But the biggest way I use this is this little search icon right here. Down here at Compendiums, you have monsters, players, items, and spells. Now we already talked about spells and I use the 5e app for that. But this is a great on-the-go resource for monsters and even items. If I'm brainstorming up what monsters I want to use, it's very efficient to be able to go through this, monsters, and it has them all here sorted by CR. But that would take forever to scroll through. So let's go to the top right corner here for the filter. You can filter by a ton of different things like size, alignment, and environment, but what I mainly use is the type. So when there's a certain type of monster you want to throw at your players, here's a great way to find it. Like I said in my Roll20 campaign, they just went to the Feywild, so let's go to Fey. That's my filter now, so whenever I go back to monsters, there's all the Fey. Now I will say this is not 100% up to date and has every D&D resource ever created, but it's pretty great. So I'm gonna pick Blink Dog here, and there's the entire stat block for a Blink Dog. And in the top corner here, you see the little check icon. It says game updated with a Blink Dog. You'll see what happens with that here in a second. If you press the 3 dots next to that, you could bookmark this, share it, export it. But another cool part here is you could edit this thing and actually go in here and change the Blink Dog to be a Blink Cat. Save. Now it says Blink Cat, but I gotta fix that because dogs are better. Man, I am really dividing people today. We'll call it a blink animal to stay neutral. So if I go back now, all the way back to the beginning, and go back to those 2 arrows in the top left going up and down, there's my Blink Dog. I don't use this screen for initiative, but you can use this as an on-the-fly resource to tap, and there's your animal. Blink Dog, I'm fixing that. And like I said also, you could search for items as well. This next app here is super simple, and it's my favorite dice roller. I've played many casual games with this thing, and even taught people how to play D&D, but just passing around this phone and letting people roll some dice. The app is called Feudz Dice Roller. This has every dice you could possibly want and more. You have your 7 standard dice here, along with a D1000, a D3, a D30. The Feudz roll is either a +1, a -1, or a 0. And then you got your heads or tails. I'm going heads. It's as simple as that, and I usually just use this for that D20. Now as a DM, if I want to streamline my rolls and make it more efficient, I'll use this complex feature here. This lets you type in dice formulas to be able to use on command. 3d6, roll it. Let's say one of my big bad guys is 4d10 plus 5. 4d10 plus 5. Roll it, 29. Roll it again, 30. Roll it again, 38. Now I don't use this all the time. I mostly roll dice. But if there's a huge battle with a lot of stuff going on, I might use this to streamline my rolls. I've talked about this before, but that's one thing you can do to increase your pacing. This app also has a paid version, but I personally haven't pulled the trigger on that one. Before I get to the big final one, here's some honorable mentions. The complete reference for D&D 5e is a great resource and has a ton of stuff on here. I personally just felt that the interface was a little too clunky for me, so I use other apps. Then there's 5th edition character sheet. One of my players used this as their character sheet for the entire 3-year campaign of ours, and he loved it. Me personally, I'm a paper kind of guy, so I wouldn't. Number 5, final app here is Trello. This is actually what I use for my DM binder. You might be surprised that I'm not saying OneNote, because that is what most people use. I'm not as big of a fan as OneNote's formal book structure as I am Trello's storyboard open feel. This app can be used across all platforms and devices and syncs between them. These are all the different storyboards that I have, but I don't use all of these all the time. So if you see these stars off to the right-hand side are my favorite ones, which puts them all the way up to the top. We'll get into the preparation one here in a second, but Legend Lore and Provengers are the 2 campaigns I have. Life is my actual life to-do list, and Dungeon Coach is for YouTube stuff. So you don't get overwhelmed, let's make a new board from scratch. Plus sign in the top. New campaign. Background, purple. Create. This is what it starts off looking like, and I have nothing. Add a list. We'll have this one be PCs. Let's add them to the list. I'll use some of my patron names for this. Barge, Solar FM, Edric, Poseidon, Kraken. Let's keep it rolling here and make another list of NPCs. For this, we'll add in Bob and Larry. Let's create the first town they go to, Dungeon Town. Add in some locations and some quests. We'll also just add in a magic item real quick. Okay, so now we have a town with some stuff in it, NPCs and PCs. My favorite thing about this app is how fluid it is. I can grab Edric right here and move him around. I can not only move him to the top of the list, but I can also move him to another list entirely. Maybe Bob and Larry are in this town over here and I can bring them over here and set them both down. Or if the party finds this magic item, I can drag it over here and put it next to whoever has it. On the bottom here, you can zoom out, and I can do that same thing with the pages. I can grab Dungeon Town and drag it over to the front. What about these quests? Let's say I have more. There we go. You can actually click on each of these cards. You can have a description here of whatever you want, add a checklist, or even attach pictures. Let's say they've completed that quest and you don't need it anymore. You can drag it off, and now it's gone. So the big picture here is you have multiple storyboards you can have, and within each of those are lists that you can move around, and each of those have cards that you can move around and write stuff in. Going back again, I can show you something else of an NPC creation list I have. I got names, sketchy names, posh names, female names, and used up names. If I'm in the middle of a campaign and I use one of these names, I can grab Celestra, move it over here, and not use that anymore. Keep swiping over, and I have all the different voices that I can do. Mickey Mouse! Kermit the Frog here.
I also got Joe from Family Guy. Hey, Peter.
Or I could do a muscly arm paper boy.
That could be its own video too. Back to the main page now. The last thing I want to show you guys is magic items. This first list is an entire magic shop that I have in here that I can drag and put items into. And next to that are different magic item ideas that I have, cursed magic items, sentient magic items. And if I zoom back here, you can see I have a ton of stuff here that I use for inspiration when I'm making my homebrew magic items. Let's say I want to give one of these cursed items to one of my players. I can tap on Box of Destruction, click the buttons up here on the top, and I can duplicate the card. Now if I go back here, you can see it's created a second Box of Destruction card. So I'm going to choose the extra one I made, click that button again, and I can move this card wherever I want. So we created that new campaign. I'll go to New Campaign. I'll give it to one of my PCs, and I'll put it in position 6 for right now, save it. So if I go back and go back to the new campaign, go back to my PCs, and there's that Box of Destruction that I can put it wherever I want. This app is absolutely huge for me. I use it behind the screen as a dungeon master, and it gives me easy access on the fly to whatever I need. But this is just my list, and I really want to know what's on yours. When I first started DMing, I scoured through the internet looking for the best apps possible. But it's been a little while, so if I missed something or there's something new, I want to know. This video topic was chosen by one of my Patreon giveaway winners, Scatterbug. So big shout out to you and all the rest of the patrons that support me on this channel. In just the last few weeks, we've gained a ton of patrons and we're over 50 now, and a ton of subscribers and we're over 3,000 now.
Come on, that can't be right. It must be broken or something.
So let's keep this going and grow this dungeon crew even more. Pick your favorite video of mine that's helped you the most and share it with a friend. That's the best thing you can do to get us out there and help more people. So until next time, stay creative and think outside that box. Peace. So many papers.